The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, one of the greatest empires in history, came to an end. The Western Roman Empire, which once controlled vast lands across Europe, had been slowly crumbling for centuries. Political instability, economic decline, and a weakened military made it vulnerable to attack. Civil wars had torn the empire apart from within. Corrupt leadership and the growing gap between rich and poor only deepened the crisis. Meanwhile, the Roman economy struggled under the weight of inflation and a shrinking tax base. At the same time, waves of Germanic tribes, including the Visigoths and Vandals, invaded Roman lands. These groups were not only seeking new homes, but also exploiting Rome's declining strength. Rome's borders shrank as entire provinces were lost. The final blow came when the Germanic general Odoacer deposed the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus. That moment in 476 AD didn't just signal the fall of an empire, it marked the end of ancient Rome, the beginning of a new era in Europe, the Middle Ages. The rise of Islam in the early 7th century, the Arabian Peninsula was home to many tribes, often divided by rivalry and conflict. It was in this fragmented land that a new religious movement began to take shape, one that would soon transform the region and the world. In 610 AD, a merchant named Muhammad sought solitude in the cave of Hira near Mecca. During one of his meditations, he received his first revelation through the angel Gabriel. This moment marked the beginning of Islam, a faith centered on monotheism, compassion, justice, and community. Muhammad began preaching these messages to the people of Mecca, facing resistance and persecution. Yet, within years, his following grew. After migrating to Medina, Islam rapidly spread across Arabia. The new faith united warring tribes under one belief system and a shared sense of identity. Within a century after Muhammad's death, Islamic civilization expanded from Spain in the west to India in the east. Islam not only reshaped politics and religion, but also enriched science, philosophy, and art. Today, it stands as one of the most influential religions in human history. The Crusades in 1095, Pope Urban II delivered a powerful speech at the Council of Clermont, urging European Christians to take up arms and reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule. His call was met with enthusiasm, and thousands of knights and peasants alike vowed to fight. This marked the beginning of the First Crusade, launching a series of religious wars that would span nearly 2 centuries. The Crusaders faced long journeys, harsh conditions, and fierce resistance. Despite the odds, they managed to capture Jerusalem in 1099. The victory was seen as a divine triumph in Europe, and several Crusader states were established in the Levant. However, these territories were difficult to defend and eventually fell back into Muslim hands. Subsequent Crusades failed to achieve the same success. While some were launched with noble goals, others were driven by political ambition, greed, or even personal glory. Notably, the Fourth Crusade never reached the Holy Land. Instead, Crusaders sacked Constantinople, a Christian city, deepening divisions within Christendom. Though the Crusades ended in 1291 with the fall of Acre, their impact was long-lasting. They intensified tensions between Christians and Muslims, but also led to increased trade, the flow of knowledge, and cultural exchange between East and West. The legacy of the Crusades still echoes in modern global relations. Magna Carta. By the early 13th century, England was in turmoil. King John's harsh rule, military failures, and heavy taxation had angered both the nobility and common people. His unsuccessful wars in France drained the royal treasury, and in his arbitrary justice made many feel powerless under the crown's authority. In 1215, a group of rebellious barons confronted the king and demanded reform. They met at a meadow called Runnymede, near the River Thames. There, under pressure, King John sealed the Magna Carta, document that limited royal power and declared that even the monarch must obey the law. It was the first formal step toward constitutional government. While the Magna Carta was originally designed to protect the rights and property of the nobles, its principles grew over time. It introduced ideas like the right to a fair trial and protection from unlawful imprisonment, concepts that would shape legal systems for centuries. The influence of the Magna Carta reached far beyond England. It inspired foundational documents like the English Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What began as a political compromise in 1215 became a lasting symbol of liberty and the rule of law around the world. Although the original Magna Carta was annulled by the Pope shortly after it was signed, its legacy endured. Later kings were forced to reissue the document multiple times, reinforcing its importance. Over the centuries, the Magna Carta evolved from a practical solution to a political crisis into a powerful symbol of justice, liberty, and accountability in governance.